Hi everybody, welcome to Kate Space, welcome to my channel. I am doing a flip through of my final design team journal for the Graphics Fairy. It is a garden themed journal using primarily the seed catalogue bundle from the Graphics Fairy premium site. It's quite a big chunky journal, as you can see, and I've made it very grungy. It's called the Potting Shed Journal, so I kind of imagined it's something that would be down in the shed, and actually I probably could have scuffed this cover up a little bit more. It probably looks a little bit too clean and tidy for what it is. But anyway, it's got lots of gesso and paint and ink, and yeah, it's not pretty. It's, yeah, just more grungy, and I really loved making it. The cover's made from scratch, and it's with painted cloth. It is 22 centimeters length, 15 wide, with a 2.5-inch spine. Has 9 signatures and about 200 pages. It also has a bundle of things to go with it, because this was one of those journals that just kept growing and growing, and I kept adding to it and making something else and wanting to use most of my scraps. Okay, so it's closed with this string that is from a bunch of flowers that I received a while ago and I've been hanging on to. It has an old key, which I imagined could be the key to the potting shed. I acquired a whole bunch of really old keys and I've been hoarding them, so this is the first one I've actually used. I put a book plate on the front, and the thing that's in there is just a little bit of old ledger. It's not glued or anything, so that can be, whoever owns the journal can put whatever they want to in there. And I've done a little bit of a collage here in the front plate in there. But other than that, she's pretty plain. When we open her up, I have glued a pretty old envelope here with a bit of a collage, stitched collage, and a cutout, one of the Tim Holtz dies. Behind here is an old postcard, and with no writing on the back, and a journaling card which I made out of a piece of old book page. In the front envelope is a large tag that I've made with one of the images from the seed catalogue bundle, and on the back is some collaging. I've lined the front and back inside covers with papers from the delicate end papers, and this is quite a grungy sort of looking end paper that you'll see when we get to the back, because the back one's not covered up. So the first page is from a book called Gardening for Amateurs, which is about from the 1940s, with a little collage on the front. And as you can see, every page has been either inked or coffee dyed, has had some gesso and paint applied to it just to give it that grungy sort of messy look. This is one of the printable pages from the seed catalogue bundle. It's a printable already made for you, so you can see that's all done. And I just put some old sellotape over the top of the digital old sellotape that's on the image. A lot of the botanical pages are from an old botanical book that I own from the late 1800s called The Vegetable World. A page from an old diary. Just a little tuck spot here filled with some things, some old indexed, coffee stained index cards, and a tag with some birds on it. Some stenciling. What I've done with several of the images is turn them into big full page pockets, kind of to make it look like, I guess, seed packets in a way. I love this image. This is one of my favourite, and this one is printed onto coffee dyed paper. In here is the tag that I made for Tag Team Friday for the Graphics Fairy, and that's using the same bundle, so I wanted to include it. So that's on the invoice image from the bundle, and it's turned into a an envelope there, but lots of journaling space. And a rusty clip to hold that shut. The great thing about having a real sort of grungy journal, you don't have to worry about the marks that the rusty paper clips make. Used a mixture of washi tape, masking tape and brown tape to strengthen the pages, especially these very old ones. This opens up, and this is part of this sleeve of an old book called Wild and Garden Herbs. I've used one of the images from the bundle to do a bit of a collage there, and that opens up, and that's the other side of that page, which is a printable. This is the cover of that book that this is off, and I really wanted to include it because I just love this image. You can see it's got a hole in it. Yeah, it's old. A little bit of napkin decoupage there. This is another image from the bundle. It might even be the same as one I've used earlier. Yeah, it is. It's actually the same. It's probably the cut off from, I think it's actually the cut off from the tag, because I didn't want to waste it because it's so pretty. And I've just made it into a tuck spot. I've done a little bit of dry embossing with the embossing machine, and I've tucked a little journaling card in there. This is some of my eco printing that I did quite a long time ago, and this is a print of a native tree that we have here called the Putakawa, which blossoms in December. It's like we call it the New Zealand Christmas tree, and this one on the front is actually some flax, which is flax flowers, which are also a native of New Zealand. They're on quite heavy watercolour paper, I think. I decorated a little sort of white glassine paper bag and turned it into a flip, and there's a bit of a collage on this side, and in here I've put a couple of the tags that are part of the printables, and I've just kind of tied them together with string, so they're beautiful vegetable images. And this is one of the images as well from the bundle on the front of the bag. I fussy cut out one of the images to make this little collage. This page opens right out, and there's that image again. And in here I've put this sort of, I don't know, price list, I guess, for seeds, which just tied with a bit of string, and I've backed it with the invoice image. Pop that back in there. So this page extends out, so as always with my journals, there's heaps of place for writing and journaling, sticking pictures, doing whatever you want. So this is the other half of that book jacket cover. You open it up, and I've just put that in there. It's glued at the top, but it could be easily removed and put somewhere else. It's just one of the little cutouts there. And on this side is a little booklet. I've decorated the front with some very, very old book page. There's a little tuck spot here, and just some old papers, some ledger, and yeah, just a little book. So I quite like how that turned out. I've clipped it here just to keep it so that when you open it, it keeps it all together with that very rusty bulldog clip. This is from a Weeds of New Zealand book. I think this is more from the Amateur Gardener. So heaps of space. Here's another one of the pockets using one of the images from the bundle, and I did a collage tag here. Some of these images are from the bundle, some are from a book, and it's just backed with some coffee dyed card. More of the napkin decoupage, which I've got a video on doing if you want to watch it. There's another little space you could tuck something here, but I haven't glued that down. more napkin, some stenciling. This is an image from a very old 1800s book which I loved, and so I cut it out and I've adhered it to this very grungy coffee dyed page. This is one of the printable pages from the bundle with this gorgeous image here of the dahlias. Another pocket here made with one of the images, and in here I've tucked a big full page from the girl's own paper from the late 1800s with a poem about autumn. But I love that image and I wanted to keep it intact. Very hard to tear those pages up. And in here is a little booklet made with one of my old checks. So it's a little notebook. Another one of the printables pages from the bundle. More napkin decoupage and vintage book pages. A page from a New Zealand address book. Tucked in here is a page from a 1907 business diary or calendar. And pinned here is the receipt from the bundle that I've tried to age, and pinned to it is one of my vintage, or actually nearly antique checks. And it's just tucked in under here. And attached to that is a little charm I made. I shrunk down the little tags, printable, and printed it several times onto a page, and then I cut them out and I put them on some of this quite firm index cardboard, and yeah, turn them into little tags or charms. That's the other side of that printable page. An old vintage envelope from 1937, some more from the Weeds of New Zealand book, another of the images from the bundle. In the printables there are also these really cool, it's a very rusty clip. There's these really cool file folders which I've printed and cut out, and this one is backed or lined with brown paper, and in there are two of the cards which I've just backed with coffee dyed card. Look. This is some old ledger which I've used and just folded it out. Another one of the tags, and inside here is one of the title pages of a manual of botany from 1873, and also a French book page about gardening, plants and things. Here's the other half of the image with the peas. This is from the New Zealand Gazette 1919, so that's antique. And in here I've made something with one of the images, and I've just attached it to a really old piece of book page that had all the sellotape on it. I really liked it, so I've just attached it on. You can draw on it or take it off or whatever, but I really liked it, so yeah. Another one of the images from the bundle, and also so is this one. I printed this onto some quite heavy cardstock, actually, the linen, and it's got a bit of a linen texture to it, so it's got a lovely texture and it's quite heavy. And that's backing this beautiful image of a vase of flowers from an old book. And on this side is some old coffee dyed paper, and I've done a collage with some dried flowers and skeleton leaves on there, which I really love. It's from the bundle. Piece of wallpaper turned into an envelope. And tucked in here is an old postcard. It doesn't have a date, but it is from New Zealand. I think it might be Christmas postcard, but I really liked it and I thought it fitted in with the theme with the flowers on it. Another piece of my eco printing. Again, that's the Pūtakawa flower. A bit more faded on this side. And here I've made a kind of like a tag, but it's on a piece of old ledger, and it just flops over the page with a fussy cut. And most of the stuff on that is vintage or recycled sort of papers and things. Again, another address book page with some beautiful camellias. Another one of the file folders, which I've lined with lined paper, vintage lined paper from a vintage school book. The wallpaper, here I've just included a double page of the Weeds of New Zealand book. And in here I've slipped a little journaling card with one of the images from the bundle. Another image from the bundle, and this is from an old address book again. This is a little flip out with a little tag, just a really simple tag made with part of the image from one of the bundles, and actually this is the back of something, one from the bundle. And these tags are actually from the Graphics Fairy as well, so I'll pop up what they are. Specimen tags obviously, but I'll tell you where they came from. An Edith Holden page in the center. This flips right out because I thought that was a beautiful image. And this is the last page with another little napkin decoupage on it of this cute as little bird. I have a writing board in this journal. I've never made one before, using one of the images from the bundle, and on the back I've done some collaging. These are all from a very old dictionary, and this is just some things that I had in my stash. So obviously you write on this side, not the lumpy side. And here is the papers that I've lined the inside with these lovely grungy papers from the Delicate End Papers. So that's the journal. It's quite full, but you can take things out as always. And yep, it might be over full, but it's not, you know, it's not gator mouth yet. However, if we put all these things in, it would be. I really wanted to use this piece of linen in the journal and I didn't, so I've included it and I've just pinned it together. I've got one of those little charms that I made and a piece of coffee dyed calico with some stamping on it and an old jewelry tag. And in here I've just made a really simple collection of papers that I love. This is from a little notebook from the 30s or 40s that had been written in, and I'll show you that later because I've included that in the other bundle. And I've just added some of this image here, and you can see all the writing on the back here. I think it was for like a travel sort of log of where they'd been and when. And in here, sort of included in here, is just some old papers. So I loved this image. This is from the Girl's Own paper from the late 1800s, as is this. I thought this was had a lovely poem there, picture of a tree. This here is from the 1800s as well. It's part of one of those New Zealand gazettes, but this one's slightly older, which is why it looks all torn and mottled. This is one of my account forms from the 1940s. A piece of ledger with writing on it that was actually gifted to me, and a lovely piece of paper out of a book about poetry, which I just really love the colour of it and the feel of it. So those are those things. That's those things. And yeah, they're wrapped up and they'll come with the journal. But I made that after I made this. This was on the go while I was making the journal. Just a piece of, well, I guess it's a big popsicle stick with some string on it. I mean, that's nothing really special, but it kind of looked gardeny. And then one of these little sort of specimen slides that I made quite a long time ago actually, and it's got a dried violet and a pressed violet in it. And I made it, I think, as an experiment to see how the flower would be. This is one of those coin things that you put coins in. But yeah, it's just lasted so well, so it's good to know that that's, you know, that's a couple of years and it's still looking really good. So I wanted to include that. I wanted to include one of my really old photos. So this is a very old photo, as you can tell. It's quite damaged, so I backed it with some brown paper just to give it a bit more strength. But that's out of a very old photo album. I don't know, from at least the early 1900s, but it's of a pretty wild garden in a house, and I thought that was quite neat. And I made some envelopes because you know how much I love making envelopes, and in each envelope I've included a few things. So in this one there's an old playing card with kowhai, which is one of New Zealand's native flowers, and some little sort of coupon-y things that you might find and someone might keep in their garden journal, maybe not. An old envelope which has got like things written on it, which I thought also in a garden journal or in a journal you might have. That's from 1947. Another envelope here which I've collaged on. This is made from some Edith Holden paper, and in here I have a couple of journaling cards. So that one matches what's on the front, and that's the rose. So I've popped those in there. This envelope is made with one of the images from the bundle. Some vintage things, and in here are the rest of the little charms that I made using the tags shrunk right down. Oh, and there's something else in there. Oh, there's 4 of those, and then just some little botanical stickers. And in this little envelope, which is made out of Edith Holden book page, I have included some sort of botanical type cigarette and tea cards. So those are all included. And last but not least is this little grungy book that I had, and that's what the travel log papers are out of. So I took most of the papers out that had most of the writing on it, but not all of them. So there you go, trip to Sydney, I don't know, 1952, 1951. So yeah, it's relatively old, but there was lots of paper that hadn't been written on, so I thought, oh well, I'll include that, and this can just be a grungy little gardener's journal that he might or she might write notes in. So yeah, I've strengthened it with some tape because the staples had fallen out, and put some coffee dyed linen there, and that's that. So that's the lot. This journal is for sale. However, I'm away at the moment on a holiday, and so I'm not going to pop it in my Etsy shop. If you're interested, please contact me privately on one of the links down in the description box. You can just message me on Etsy, or private message me on Instagram or my Facebook page to let me know if you're interested or not, and then if it hasn't sold by the time I get back, I can pop it in my shop. It's just that I won't be able to ship it until I get back, so after the 3rd of September, which is not that far away really. Anyway, I've loved working with the design team, and it's been a real privilege. I hope you'll go and check out the beautiful images that you can get if you become a member. Just a year of access to some just wonderful images, some wonderful tutorials, so much learning, and so much access to beautiful things that you can use in your crafts, and not just junk journaling, but all sorts of arts and crafts. So yeah, definitely go check it out if you haven't already. I highly recommend it, and I just want to say thanks for watching. I hope you like the journal and the little bundle that goes with it, and I'll see you again soon in the next video. Bye.